Did a single word just derail a major national monument? In a stunning display of bipartisan fracture, House Democrats unanimously revolted against legislation intended to build a new women's history museum on the National Mall, effectively tanking the bill. The reason? A seemingly simple addition: the word biological. Before we continue, if you want to stay on top of everything happening in US politics, hit that subscribe button right now and leave a like. It really helps this channel grow. Now, let's unpack this. The bill itself, aimed at establishing a Smithsonian American Women's History Museum, had sailed through with significant support. But then, a crucial amendment, authored by Republican Representative Mary Miller, redefined the museum's scope. The museum shall be dedicated to preserving, researching, and presenting the history, achievements, and lived experiences of biological women in the United States. It went even further, stating the museum may not depict any biological male as female, a codification of language from a prior Trump executive order. This addition, however, acted as a political landmine for Democrats. They argued this biological wording was a poison pill, an intentional move to exclude transgender women and girls. The Democratic Women's Caucus had previously issued a strong statement accusing Republicans of targeting transgender individuals. For many Democrats, this amendment wasn't just an oversight, it was a deliberate act of exclusion, transforming a celebratory project into a battleground over gender identity. The result? A vote of 204 to 216 saw the bill fall short. But it wasn't just Democrats who voted against it. A handful of conservative GOP lawmakers also joined the rebellion, though their reasons were starkly different. These Republicans reportedly objected to the necessity of another taxpayer-funded museum and voiced concerns about the bill potentially becoming a platform for left-wing content, citing figures like Margaret Sanger or the latest Progressive Cause as examples of what they wished to avoid. They suggested existing Smithsonian institutions already honor American women. House Speaker Mike Johnson, Republican Louisiana, seemed to amplify the GOP's perspective, remarking that the addition of the word biological made them all run for the hills, and questioning if the Democratic Party was now demanding the museum include biological men. This framing positions Democrats as the ones who are out of step with traditional definitions. The Democrats' decision to withdraw support comes amidst ongoing scrutiny of their stance on transgender rights, with some suggesting these views may have impacted their performance in recent elections. The party has repeatedly faced pressure to define woman, a question many Democrats have found difficult to answer concisely. Adding another layer of contention, the amended bill also granted the president the authority to select an alternative site within 180 days, raising alarms among Democrats. Chairwoman of the Democratic Women's Caucus, Teresa Leger Fernandez, Democrat New Mexico, accused Republicans of amending the bill to give Trump and his allies unregulated power over what content and which women can be included in the museum, and the museum's location. She argued a museum about women, fought for and supported by women, should not be controlled by one man. However, Republican co-sponsor Representative Nicole Malliotakis, Republican New York, pushed back, suggesting Democrats were using this rationale as a shield to avoid confronting the transgender provision directly. She stated, "A women's history museum is supposed to be dedicated to women, period. And the fact that they're going to pull their support after overwhelmingly co-sponsoring this bill because the word biological was inserted, to me, is ludicrous." She challenged Democrats to explain to their constituents why they would oppose the museum's construction or why they believe transgender exhibits should be included. The initial authorization for this museum dates back to 2020, alongside a planned museum for American Latinos. Some Democrats also expressed frustration that the Women's History Museum was advancing without its Latino counterpart. So, what does this all mean? This schism highlights the deep ideological chasm in American politics, particularly concerning gender identity. For Democrats, the exclusion of transgender women is an unacceptable compromise of inclusivity. For some Republicans, the inclusion of transgender narratives within a women's history museum is an overreach, straying from a perceived biological definition and potentially politicizing the institution. The immediate outcome is that a dedicated space for women's history on the National Mall is now in jeopardy. It raises questions about whether any future legislation can bridge this divide, or if the very definition of woman has become too contentious a topic for unified national projects. The implications extend beyond this single museum. They speak to broader cultural debates about identity and representation in public spaces and institutions. The potential consequences are significant. If the bill is brought up again, the same fundamental disagreements will likely resurface. It could lead to further entrenchment on both sides, making compromise even more difficult. It also presents a political opportunity for Republicans to paint Democrats as out of touch with mainstream views on gender, while Democrats risk alienating a segment of their base if they appear to concede on transgender rights. So what do you think about this? Was the inclusion of the word biological a legitimate concern for inclusivity, or a strategic move by Republicans to spark division? Drop your opinion in the comments below. I read every single one. This is a complex issue with passionate arguments on all sides, and your perspective matters in understanding where the country stands.